Good evening, guys. Ken at Tortoise Capital, nightly strategy podcast for March 4th, 2023, Saturday edition. So we're looking at some swing trade frames. We finished up a pretty good week in the swing portfolio this week. And so just to capture the experiment of the last month, or 6 weeks, if I'm being conservative, I went back through all the trades and totaled up the R's. And there were a couple symbols that I was trading for the record in Devon Energy. So I think it was these four, and then a couple in Mexico. That went back as far as December. But most of these trades really are starting about 1 February to 4th of March. But I'm going to take it as given that that this goes back to 1 December. And so these are the symbols that made it into the portfolio. And for the most part, we're doing 30-minute bars. There were a few cases where we had some turbos associated with that, and I gave ourselves credit for it because the only reason we were trading 3-minute bars was because it was part of a swing. So I gave us credit for that. And the gains that we made on the intraday 3-minute bars, I counted as R's against the 30-minute risk. So we're not getting the large position size. So in Alcoa, I've taken that many swing trades and it returned that many R. The net is 352 R. There were a total of 193 trades. There were 152 wins. That's about a 78% win rate. That has an expectancy of 1.8. It has a standard deviation of 2.3. When you take this 10 and normalize this for 100, it's 10 times 1.8 divided by 2.3 for SQN, 7.9. If you take the square root of n, it's a little better than that. It's somewhere up around 12. So that's just ridiculous. But we got it on film, and so I'm just going to go back through those dates and snip out all of the trades and the commentaries from the nightly podcast and stitch those together into one course and make that available as a standalone. That's not too bad. You sort of have to see it to believe it. I knew we were doing good, but when it's good, it happens in these kinds of bursts. You get pieces strung together in these surges. I mean, there's some streaks in there that are just, and like all these, like with the 8 in treasuries was a one of those at the turning points on a 10-day, and we got a burst in our favor that was just really favorable. That's what accounts for that stuff. You see that in the latest in the bursts in here in like in Alcoa. I mean, this is Alcoa, for crying out loud, and Mexico, and Devon Energy, and Cliff, uh, IYR ain't bad, and U.S. Steel. There's a reason why I'm trading those things. Now, I think those numbers are large just because I was trading them a lot, but they also have those kinds of qualities. So that's that. Uh, let's head over to take a look at Chi-Wing Chong's work here on the Z-score. The RL30 slope Z-score of key sectors. So everything is continuing to slide. What we notice is that XLB, instead of continuing to slide, has actually started to get better, and that's coming from the metals. And then XLI, the industrials are doing pretty well, and I think they're buying the metals and making product. But the S&P is now just slightly under the zero line. Tech is weakening, finance is weakening, energy has made the turn. So, Devon Energy, XLE, XOP, PBW, ExxonMobil, Chevron. You know, if you wanted the Buffett play, Occidental Petroleum. So that energy sector on those little turns, that tends to be very smooth and oscillating. So that's something that is worth paying attention to. XLP, we noticed that the staples had just kind of remained constant while the growth and the broad market gained and lost. And so XLP, by not failing, is actually looking fairly strong relative to XLY. So we're getting close to the point in here where it may be that XLY falls underneath XLP, and then this would turn into a defensive play. We shall see. Shift quickly. This is Charles, and he's looking at CDW. He tried this one here. This sell off, stabilize, set his risk. It collapsed, so he took the exit like he's supposed to. He's reframing this as another SSC, and he's ready to just re-enter that trade there, and the same amount of risk. I think that's proper. This thing is still, it was unfortunate to get bottom tick like that, but that'll happen. And I think this little run right here, it will still be in the form of a COTA 2, should this work, and if it gets to 215, that'll more than pay for the one false start. And this is still in great shape on the long run. We just may have been a day early on that turn. I would just continue to stay with it. That's a good frame. Now, Dan, I'll probably need you to come in and help me with some of these. I'm still trying to get the timing right on your symbols. Like, I'm not sure what the is the double circle. Does that mean a core and a turbo?
Yeah.
Okay.
It ended up. I mean, I bought a Shell. I bought 25 shares and ended up selling 15 of them at the end of the day.
Okay, so that one is like it was a core and a turbo, and the turbo was sold here, and still holding that one here.
Yeah.
The longer one's up 0.75, and the first one was a quick strike for 0.41. And are you using both of those with the same reference point for the size of the risk box?
No. The big box is the daily frame, the daily swing frame.
Is that this one, the one I just drew here?
Yeah.
That's the daily, and that would be for the core.
For the well, I call them turbo and swing, but
okay. So the swing.
Yeah.
So the swing is up 0.75 as measured against this box.
Yes. Against that box.
And the turbo move here
against
is a
smaller
0.41 against a smaller. And that sort of makes the point about that shorter time frame. is that because you're closer to the action, you don't need that wider range, and so that shorter burst move, you know, in 1/5 of the time gets you half the move.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah,
And then
okay,
I raised the stop. So I've held this since Monday, and I've raised the
yeah.
stop Friday toward the end of the day.
Where's your stop on this one?
Well, you see that dashed line there?
This one?
It's 60.82,
Oh, let me get. I
where
got
where
the.
it says where it says TS.
Oh, I got it. Let me get this thing on. All right, 16. Oh, okay, ready. Ah, got it. Trailing swing.
Yeah, trailing stop.
Okay,
Yeah,
so that's basically a break even right now, essentially.
it would be. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So what I would do is just as soon as possible get that moved up to Z3,
Yes.
because now it takes a 3 standard deviation move against you to trigger you into about a point 0.5.
Yeah, if it survives the gap on Monday,
Yeah,
maybe I
yeah,
move it up there.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, just you'd hate to have held it 5 days and at one point been a full R in hand,
yeah,
and then let it come all the way back to it. That would hurt our feelings. Now, on the other hand, it's Royal Dutch Shell, and I think that this move is maybe part of that energy swing that we just saw in the RL30. You know, the whole energy is starting to make that turn. So this one could work pretty well. I would also then say if it gets above, well, you're basically pretty close, about 62.76. Yeah,
it's been flirting with that.
yeah. I think that's sort of the key marker that if it can get through that, right, then you've broken that little iron triangle thing, and then it should go.
Yeah.
And this all looks promising. So I think you have a live one on the hook there. So that looks good. All right, this is marathon. So that also oil.
I'm not sure if it's oil. It's digital holdings. It's
Oh,
not.
oh,
It's
oh, oh, it's not marathon oil. Okay, sorry.
yeah,
Got it. Now the only thing I'm going to say, I think you got a couple symbols in here that are, I don't know if they're S&P 500s because I didn't recognize the company names, and they're down like in single. I mean, we're talking, $3, and another one you're going to see is $2. One of the reasons I'm trading those larger caps is because they're so liquid and there's so much volume, and they're always being traded. They're never neglected. There's always sort of a continuous stream. I'm not sure that that's the case with more like fringe small caps or mid caps, and I'm not sure who these guys are, but
yeah. They were from
was it
the
was it an
Reed
S&P?
the
Oh,
Reed
Reed's Traders.
stock
Okay,
list. Yeah, they were the Wham RS stinkers.
okay.
Less than 20. So I was looking for some shorts. So I just
Oh, okay.
I have a list of their stinkers, and I look
Oh,
for
okay.
shorts in
Yeah.
there
So
because
the only thing I would caution on there is that, the statistics based approach that I'm taking is also based on some assumptions about the price behavior of the underlying candidates. So like everything in my universe is a large cap or a broad index, has a lot of volume and is
yeah.
like continuously trading, and so I would just I'm not saying it can't work. I'm just saying just be mindful of that. So
What would be your minimum volume?
S&P 500.
Okay, so it should be in the S&P
Yeah, to
500.
me, unless
Okay.
unless there was the only ones that I have that are not in the S&P 500. For a while, it was Devon Energy and Cliff. They weren't in there because they weren't big enough 10 years ago. But I had just found them for some reason and had become proficient with them, and they behaved in the proper way, and so I was able to waive that. But when I'm adding new signals or new symbols, there's got to be some really compelling reason to, just tons of volume, Um, like Tesla before it got into the S&P 500 was slinging around a lot of volume and was in the news, and so it was constantly being traded. And so that's what I'm looking for, something that there's a broad interest in them, and it's more subject to fear and greed. With a lot of the more people that are in there, the more likely emotions are going to be driving the train in my view. So I
Well,
default sort of the S&P 500 or the ETF 200.
yeah, or also if it trades less than 100,000 shares a day or something, that's not good.
Yeah. I mean, because now suddenly it'll go for, and that's why I have trouble with sometimes like marijuana is not really a good intraday 3 minute trader
Right.
because it's just too thin, and when it can go 10, 15, 20 minutes without a trade. And then when it does trade, you see the bid ask is moving all the time, but nobody's hitting it, and so you can't get those prices.
Yeah.
Whereas something in the S&P itself, uh, and that's why it's better to trade the Russell 2000 index or the future with our techniques rather than individual small cap stocks themselves. That I need the volume and the continuous flow of orders to be able to have some trust and belief in the statistics about the movements.
Yeah.
All right, so this is so with that in mind, was talk me through this one. So I see a SSC. There was a potential COTA 2 this way, but then when that fails, I'm seeing that as a like a
Yeah, I see the
a
just
COTA 2. Yeah,
yeah, Chicago 2
yeah,
short and a breakdown below support in progress. So I took that on faith that it would continue.
yeah. And
And
that was reasonably rewarded to hear.
yeah, so I got a little
A little burst on the turbo.
a little burst. Yeah.
Okay. And now this one is holding a fractional loss right here. So
Yeah,
so
very
that one, yeah.
fractional. Yeah.
So yeah. So what I want you to do is as you start gathering data on your average trades and whatnot, you want to find what the average win is, um, because if that's 1R, and I come to the maximum adverse or maximum favorable move, that may be +1 down to here.
Right. But once I'm through March 2nd, I'm on the swing frame,
Yeah.
the big box.
Oh, okay. Okay. Good. Um.
So I only
Oh.
have
Oh.
the
Yeah.
I
Okay.
only have the
I
little
got you.
box
I got
for
you.
I only have the little
I got
box
you.
for
Yep.
one day.
Okay. I see. Yeah. The box was so big I didn't see it.
Yeah, or at
Okay.
least
Then
that's the
then we're
way
in
I'm doing it.
then we're in good shape then.
But if I had a real good move, if it ended up closing down like
Yep.
1 or 2 hour down
Yeah.
or up, I'm 1 or 2 hour profit. I don't have to raise this. I don't have to change the stop then
Yeah.
because I've
It's
already got enough
tactical. Right.
separation.
Yeah. It's tactical here until it breaks below. Like that looks like what 580. Yeah. For five. Yeah, about 580. That's the point where this thing breaks, and we would say, yeah, it's really aiming for the 346. So yeah, I think you're in good shape on that one. It's still in the noise, and again, the it's on a day that was very strong in the market. This thing really didn't perform very well. I mean, it rolled over and started looking weak, and it was in the last couple hours that the S&P looked really strong. Now, on the other hand, if this is not in the S&P, and I don't know if it is or isn't, then that's not as strong a piece of reasoning. Because if it's not being moved by the broader market and just by the owners of the company, that's a pretty small population. But I would say that move right there is still within the noise, and it closed poorly when the rest of the market was pretty positive. So I think you're in good shape for the downside on that one. So yeah, Tilray Brands again. This is a
It's
Um,
another one just like Mara, and
yeah,
it seems to be. I kind of wish I hadn't got into this one because it seems to be less. It's not doing as
yeah,
well, and it
yeah,
seems to
and this
not
is
be trading as well as it's practically a penny stock at this point.
yeah, it's a penny stock and it's in a sideways grind. If it was going to fail, I mean that's a reasonable place to say if you're going to fail, this is a good place for you to fail because you're outside of the previous Z3 and you've broken through all of this, and then the next move down is to 3 or to 268. But again, it's a penny. It's basically a penny stock, and
Oh,
you know, I just don't know if there's enough if there's enough emotion in this thing, for enough people who care about it, who are committed to it, or this may just be, hey, this is just a fair value, and you can't compel us to sell because the only guys that are left are the owners.
mm.
You know,
Yeah, I
so there's
wanted to
no
get
compel.
rid of I
Yeah,
wanted to get rid of it at the close on Friday, but I couldn't
yeah.
get the price I wanted, and it closed on me before I could
Yeah.
make up my mind. And so,
Well, I mean, it's in the only problem that I see on this one is that if it was going to fail, that would have been a good place. Instead, it recovered going into the
yeah,
weekend, and after this pinch, it's starting to expand. The Z3s are expanding,
yeah,
and that's actually a pretty strong move because you had a long winter, spring. Now it's in the summer and closed well. Yeah, I don't. It better start failing right away.
yeah. And then on the daily, it's coming into the dragon.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean that's what it's still right at a turning point right here. It's clear that there is this downward pressure, and from this price level, there was buying, but it didn't hold, and now you got this. So that's still so that this little rebound is nothing compared to that downward pressure. But the dragon is sort of is the death on this thing. It's got to fail here and pick up another leg down. But again, it's so thinly traded that I don't know. You know who is left with an urgent desire to sell.
mhm.
I don't know.
Yeah, not enough so
Yeah,
far.
that's
Yeah,
why I try to stay away from the smaller ones. I like the larger volumes just so that I can get some of that action instead.
yeah,
All right, this is Vista Energy.
yeah. This is an energy, and it's also, I think, fairly small because if you look at the 30-minute chart, you see it's got a lot of
Yeah,
gappy, but it's been doing great.
and this is part of that whole energy recovery,
Yeah,
and I think you're in great shape on this one. Um, Vista Energy, SAB, is that a Brazilian stock? Man? Is that a foreign holding?
yeah, because it's an SA.
Yeah.
And it's yeah.
Uh,
I wouldn't normally get it. It just had been doing
yeah. Now, see,
it been
now
doing
this is
so
the only
well.
thing. So this is a Brazilian energy,
Yeah,
and the thing we looked at for the recovery in XLE is based on the 40 or 50 S&P 500 listed energy stocks.
yes,
But on the other hand, energy of all of the business sectors of the world, energy is the most fungible, in the sense that everybody's energy posture is kind of geared towards price of oil and its cycling. So I think there's some reason to believe that these guys can inherit some strength from a recovery in energy. But there's I don't see any evidence of panic selling in this thing. Even when it's sold off back here, the Bollinger Bands barely moved. So this was just normal oscillation, and now you've got rising lows everywhere, and it closed well. That has real power, I think. So, and you've made some money on it,
yeah,
so I think you're okay on this one. I'd be more concerned about the other one we looked at, the Tilray.
yeah,
Okay, so so that's everything we got here. I'm gonna go back and do some some more performance stats on this thing here and start I get so much work to do. I got to go back to all those nightlies and then uh, pull the portfolio commentary out of there to make many lessons out of it. But you know, that's what I do.
Well, we'll
But
be looking forward to it.
it's better than watching TV. I'll be dropping those. I think I'll drop that into the advanced swing course, and I'll probably just make its own mini course on the use of the 30-minute, because I'm really persuaded that that's a pretty healthy and adaptive time frame, because you get the 3 minute, you get the 30-minute, and then you get the daily, and so the 30-minute allows you to drill down for turbo, and then grow it up into the longer term, and then the daily lets you drill down into the 30, and the 30 could drill to the 3. So there seems to be a nice relationship between those time frames that is helpful for me. So I'll try to articulate that in the course. So. All right, guys, that's everything I got. We'll get this published and posted. So tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Central is one of the two Creativity 202 check-ins for lesson 2. The other one will be Tuesday night at 7. So I posted, just for everybody's benefit, I posted there was an hour-long podcast interview that Andrew Barry of Curious Lion did with me. He's in the business of designing learning strategies for corporations, for their personal development, executive development, and to help them connect better with their clients. And he had interviewed Angus Fletcher about Fletcher's work on creativity 9 or 10 months ago, and then which I saw, and I sent him a note last month and said, hey, we got to talk. And so we had about another hour long. And he liked that so much. I think we're going to do another interview, and we got some research and projects we're looking at putting together to build out some kind of partnership. So I thought it was a really good, concise, fresh discussion of the power behind Fletcher's creativity methods and storytelling. And that looks to be pretty promising. So it was a pretty good hour and worth a listen. All right, that's everything I got. You guys take good care, and we'll see you tomorrow or Monday.